Hello everyone, my name is Drew Staples, and today I'm going to be showing you some of the basics of data frames via Python and Pandas. So the way I want to formulate this video is have you guys learn while building a project. So my goal for this video is to where you're building a project, but you're also getting more in the mindset of how to approach a data set when you upload it. And also too, I'm setting up the video to where at the end you can take this idea that I'm doing, this little project that I'm doing, and you can add to it. You definitely make it your own. Then add it to your GitHub, and essentially you'll have your own project on there. So like I said, the whole point is, learn the basics, but get you in the mindset of how to approach a data set, okay? So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So remember, first thing we do is Google Colab. You just type that up there. First link. And go down here to new Python 3 notebook. And then also too, I'm going to be including this in the description. I do have this this project that I'm going to be making on my GitHub. Okay, so yeah, just it'll be in the description. So if you want, you can click on there, and then the data set and the project will be there too. Okay, so you guys can look that over if you want. So first thing remember we got to do is change the runtime type. So we'll keep this at Python 3. And we'll change it to GPU. So now we're running on the GPU. All right, awesome. So for this video, so I don't want to make it too verbose. I'm not going to be adding comments in this code, but in my final project, I actually have this in my GitHub already, so it's already there. I'm basically just kind of remaking the project. So I'm not going to be including comments in this, just so for boversity's sake. But I want you guys to be able to read everything that I'm reading, and I'm not scrolling up and down a bunch, because that stuff takes up a lot of room. So, but it is on my GitHub, all the comments and all the more details. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we need to do is we need to upload our file. So it's connecting to the runtime, it's connecting, it's going to be initializing, then it's connected. Awesome. So you go to upload, and then you probably can't see this right now. In fact, I know you can't, but when I hit upload, my local drive popped up. So now I'm looking for my file. So you can download this data set from GitHub into your local storage, and then just when you hit upload, just click on that file. Okay. So box shows up. Yeah, the files will get deleted when recycled, or when the runtime is recycled. Now, I'm actually going to just show you something else. I'm actually going to download a text file, and I'm going to download the exact same file, but it's an Excel file instead. So now I'll show you how to upload the different types of files. So remember, first thing we do is we need to import pandas, SPD. Alrighty. So next thing we need to do is we need to upload our file into our data frame. So first thing we'll do is we'll just call this, and we're going to do it for each of these. So we'll call this file 1. Put these in quotes. Pokemon data dot, not plus, .txt. And we'll do file 2. And for this project, we're not going to work with both of these files. I'm just going to pick one. But I just wanted to show you really quick that you can upload Excel files and text files and CSV files and all that. So these are files, put those in quotes, and I just realized it's gonna have an error because I put an S in Pokemon. Oh, duh. Didn't even put a equal sign. Well, it's not really an equal sign, so it's for the variables. Okay, so now we gotta read the CSV file and the Excel file. So we'll just call this read text pd.read, and just put your variable name there. Do the same thing for this. We're going to put pd.read. So when I have pd here, this is just a place, because this pd up here is a placeholder for pandas. So this means, like, if I didn't put this up here, this means I would have to write pandas every single time I wanted to use something in the pandas library. So for Excel file, it's very similar, except it's instead of read CSV, you just type in .read Excel and put your file 2 in there. Awesome. And then now we're going to be putting these red files into the data frame. So we're call this text, just because I'm reading this as Pokemon in a text file. That's so, yeah, I would put comments there to make sure people wouldn't get tripped up on the variable names. So remember to capitalize the D and the F, and then you're going to just put your variable from above in there. Alrighty, cool. And let me actually, now that I'm doing this, I realized in my last video, hold on a second. Okay, hold on. I hope that's a little bit better. I zoomed in a little bit more so you guys can see it, because I noticed my last video it was kind of had to squint a little bit to see it. So I'm hoping this is a little bit better. If not, then I'll definitely know what I need to improve on next time. So now, okay, so now that we have these read into the data frames, now let's just go ahead and print them out to see if we got it all right. So we'll do text. Yep. Alrighty. Awesome. We got this awesome looking data frame right here. And then, so let's make sure the next one is working. It's poke Excel. Awesome. And now we're just, if you see my last video, you know that it's very important to always look for the types, or make sure you got the right type. So I just want to make sure we got that. And then if you just put a comma there, you could put both of these in the same line. So if you didn't see my last video, just go over really quickly. It's important to find the type of what you're working with. So this is a data frame type, this is a data frame type. Just because there's so many different methods and there's so many different attributes that when you're working with when you're doing a lot of computation on a lot of data sets, sometimes you might not be sure what you're working with. So just for time's sake and to make it more efficient with your project, it's always helpful to know what type of data you're working with, as opposed to spitting this out and then just trying to figure out what to do once you get this result. just at least find out what type it is first, and then from there you at least know that since this is a data frame, that it only you can only use data frame methods and attributes. Okay. So, and then if you didn't also see my last video, if you type in, which at this point I guess I'm just going to start working with one file, so you can work with the text file or the Excel file. I'm going to work with the Excel file, but it doesn't matter though. If you do .head, it'll give you the first 5, so it doesn't rank them in any order, but except for the index. So when you spit this out, so you got the first 5 right here, and it starts at 0 too, right here. So you're technically it's the first 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so you got 5 here, and then if you were to type in a number, so if I were to type in 10, it would be the first 10. Okay, and then same thing with tail. If you were to type in tail, you would get the last 5 in your entire data frame. So you see how there's 799. There's technically 800 Pokemon, but remember it starts at 0. Alrighty, so so the first thing we're going to be doing now for this project is we're going to be making a copy of this data frame. That way, while you guys are doing this with me, if you guys mess up at all, then you could just rerun this code that we're about to type in right now, and you get your original data frame back without messing it up. Okay. That way, you don't have to upload it again and read it again and I'll do all that other stuff. You just rerun this and you'll have a copy. So we're gonna call this copy poke for copy of the Pokemon, and it's gonna equal poke.excel. Now let's just get the first 3, make sure we got it. Okay, cool. Type. And then let's also copy poke shape. So in one line with just a comma, just delimiting it, we can get the type, which we got it's a data frame, and then the shape of it is 800 rows and 12 columns. Alrighty, so okay, so what are we gonna be doing first? So now that we made a copy of this, now we need to look at this data set and find out what we're actually trying to solve. So the problem I'm going to be trying to solve is finding out the most powerful Pokemon from each type. So I don't know, I felt like that was kind of an interesting way to get you guys who are more, or get everyone who's more not really familiar with pandas, just kind of more introduced to it by not giving you a complicated data set. So that is the problem we're going to be solving here. So we're going to go through all the grass Pokemon, all the fire Pokemon, all the water, and all of them. And how I define power, or how I'm going to define power, is just for the sake of this video, I just want to show you something, cool little project. But for power, I'm going to define it as these columns right here all summed up. So HP, health points, I'm guessing. Then you got attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and then you have your speed. So I'm going to be just taking the sum of all these rows. I'm not going to be doing anything with these other ones, but they are going to be categorized by their type 1. So I'm not going to focus on the type 2, just the type 1. So I'm not going to save all the Pokemon from that type and rank them. I'm just going to be taking the top 3. So I don't know much about Pokemon dueling, but I know like very basic dueling, you only need 3 cards. So if yeah, so I figured I'd just find the top 3 most powerful Pokemon based on all of these summed up and then just put them in its own data frame, okay? So the first thing we need to do then is we're going to find the sum of all of these, and then we're going to just put it in another column, okay? So we're going to do copy poke, and then I heard this really cool explanation from this Pi data seminar, but when you want to make a new column, just pretend it's already there. So copy poke, we're going to call it total. So we're just going to type it in like it's already in existence. So copy poke total, you copy poke, and then, oh no, not a dot, I keep putting a dot, I meant an underscore. So you're going to be using this. Thing called an iLock, which captures the different instances and siphons them to get some sort of result. So I guess it's better for me to just show you. So first thing I'm going to be doing is putting a column there because I want to gather all the rows. I'm putting a comma there because now I'm going to do something with the columns. So this column here, this not column, this colon here gathers all the rows, and then I put a comma here, and then what comes after it is going to affect the columns. Okay, so what I want to do, because remember what I said, I want to find the sum of these columns here. I'm just going to use slicing, just like here, and and then I'll add a sum method to it, okay? So this is column 1, 2, 3, no, it doesn't start here. It actually starts here. So this is column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so it's going to go from column 4, and you put a semicolon, or you put a colon there because it's going to go to column 10, because remember, it goes up to 10, but it doesn't include 10. So you don't want to put 9 there because technically it's adding the ninth column there. But if you put a 9 there, it wouldn't include it. So you have to put a 10. You just add your sum method, and then inside you need to put axis equals 1. So the reason why you put axis equals 1 is because that means you're summing what's going across. If you put axis equals 0, it'd be the sum of the column, be the sum of these numbers, okay? But since it's axis 1, you're summing the numbers across. So go ahead and yeah. So also too, if you guys aren't familiar with Google Colab, if you just hit Shift Enter, your code block will run and then another one will open up. That's how I'm able to do that. You don't have to keep hitting the run cell. Okay. Make sure we got it. Okay, so we got total there. So let's just shorten this up. Let's get the top 5. Okay. And then so now let's just verify our math. Let's just make sure that our math is correct. Okay, so we'll do this first one up here. So 45 plus 49 plus 49 plus 65 plus 65 plus 45. And it should be 318 if our math is right. Okay, so yes, we did add up the rows right. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to start separating all the Pokemon by sorry, I'm looking at my notes. I'm just making sure I didn't skip anything because I wanted to show you guys something, show you some other basic stuff really quick. Oh, also too, I want to, before we start this, in order to learn some more things about your data, you can also type in your data frame and then hit info. And you get some really cool info about it. So you get the different types. Did I type that in right? Okay, no, you got to put, remember, if it's a method, you got to put the parentheses there. So it goes through each of the columns, and it tells you what the data types are and how many there are of it. So you see we have 800 filled in columns, or yeah, 800 filled in instances for each of these sections, and then you see for type 2 we only have 414, because you've seen how some of them, yeah, like right there is not available. So, and then you got your object, which just means string, int 64, which is integer, and then boolean. And then if it's a float, then it would be your floating point number. Alrighty, so like I said, now we are going to actually, one more quick thing. I know I keep saying that. Let's just do one more quick thing just to show you guys who aren't familiar with it. Like I said, I just don't want to show you guys. I just don't want to skip over anything, especially some of the basic stuff that could help you guys out. Okay, when approaching a project. So if you were to add the method .describe to your data frame right here, like I just did, it would give you some pretty cool information about the data set. It would be, it'd be describing it. So it would count how many instances you have, the mean of them, the standard deviation. You got your minimum value, your maximum value, and then this 50% is like your median. So it's like if you were to take all the numbers, what is the middle number? And then the 75% is what is the middle number between 50% and your max, which is 100%. So, and then the same thing with the 25%. This is the median between 50% and your minimum. Okay, so that's just some pretty cool things to know. So that might give you some more insight about how to approach your data. So one thing we're going to be doing before we start splitting this up is we are going to save something. We're going to save the unique values within the data set, so we can just kind of reference them every time and not have to keep scrolling up and down, because I believe there's 18 of them. If I counted them before, let me look at my notes. Yeah, there's 18 different types of Pokemon. Type 1, and essentially, I'm not going to be able to remember all those Pokemon types off the top of my head. So we're going to save these unique types into its own variable, and then we can just type in that variable in a code cell and just execute it whenever we need to reference it. Okay. So we'll just call it unique poke for unique Pokemon. And then you're just gonna type in copy poke, and then we're gonna capture the total, or not the total, the type. So we want to save those. And then this is pretty cool. So right here, if we were to just save this like this and call unique poke, we would get the entire type 1 column. So we would get, all the different, grass, fire. It would list them all, but it would list them multiple times based upon our actual data frame. So after we add the brackets and then what column we want to grab, so with these brackets we put our column that we want to grab. Once we do that, we add the unique method. We add the unique method to it. And with that, you hit Shift Enter. And then let's call unique poke. And then look at that. So what we'll do is, like I said, anytime that we need to, because we're going to be splitting up these the data set into their own little data frames, and then at the very end combine those outputs into one giant output, into one giant data frame. Okay, so yeah, there's 18 here, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 18 data types. Not going to be able to remember them all. So just type that in whenever you need to remember it. Okay. So let's go ahead and start splitting these up. So we'll just we'll start from the first one, I guess. So I'll call it grass elite, and then you're just gonna so grass elite is gonna be our variable because that's gonna be our new data frame, and then we're gonna use the loc method. So the loc method, that is something, if you guys aren't familiar with the loc method, it's like iloc. Iloc captures the instances. Loc captures captures labels based upon conditions. So like when I had iloc, I have it up here. When I had iloc, I put, you know, what rows and, well, like what fields I'm going to be grabbing based upon the rows and the columns. But with loc, you want to use loc for more for conditions. So we're going to do copy poke. So just think of loc as locate. So from the copy poke data frame, we're going to locate the type 1 that equals grass, and then after that we're actually going to sort these values. So, and if I were to just keep it like this, it would just locate all the grass Pokemon. That's all it would do. But now let's add a little bit more code to it so we can sort it. So we got sort values, and then if whatever you type in your column name, that's what it's going to sort it by. So by putting sort values and then putting total in here, I'm taking this total column and it's going to sort them by the numbers. So one parameter that you're going to be putting here is ascending equals false. If you were to put ascending equals true, then when you print out this data frame, it's going to give you the smallest number and it's going to gradually get bigger. But if you put ascending equals false, then it's going to have the biggest score at the very top, and it's going to descend down. So ascending equals false is right, so it's because it's descending. Okay. So you want to put ascending equals false, and then instead of printing out the entire data frame, let's just grab the first 10 just to see that things are working correctly. So okay, so we didn't get any errors, so that's good. So now let's just call grass elite to see what we got. Okay, so it's looking right. It's looking good. So you see this is our total here, so we want these numbers to descend down. So we want the top 3 here. Okay, so so what I'm going to be doing then, since these two are tied, they have a 600, I guess I'm just going to compare the two. That'd probably make the most sense to me. Just compare the two to see who out of the 6 categories who might have the upper hand, who's more dominant in more of the categories. So let's see this. So this one. Okay, so this top one out of 6 categories, because it ties here, it beats this bottom one here, here, and here. So 3-2. So we're gonna go ahead and just, okay, so I will probably come across, yeah, actually we will, because I did this project before. So we are gonna come across a situation where this one is, like the one in the bottom is more dominant than this one, just based off of how I'm comparing the numbers. And you can do it your own way, how you want to do it. If you understand, the Pokemon world more, and you know what factors are more important, then you definitely manipulate this to how you want to. I'm just trying to set you guys up for a project that you guys can do on your own. Okay. So with this, I'll show you guys that later because we'll come across it. But for here, we'll just need to save the top 3 because this one actually is has more of an advantage. So we'll just put 3, Shift Enter, and now we have 3 here. Okay, so since I called this Grass Elite just to keep things consistent, I'm essentially all we're going to be doing now is just taking this line of code and literally just type and just keep repeating it. This project is going to be more time consuming than anything because this line of code right here, we're basically just gonna, like I said, we're going to keep repeating it. But to keep things consistent, like I was saying, we're going to we're going to just call things, blank underscore elite. So fire underscore elite, water underscore elite. So just, yeah, like I said, just keep things consistent, just keep things on the same page. So I normally like to just type in this code and just along with you guys, but here's the thing, I don't want to make this video extremely long because we're already going on half an hour. So for time's sake, and the thing is I go off tangent sometimes, and I don't mean to, and I apologize for that. I'm going to go ahead and just copy this code and just replace the words that I need to, okay? So we're going to go ahead and just copy it. And then for grass, call it. We need to locate the fire type instead, and we're going to sort it by the total. And we want to ascend it, and the ascending to be false because we want the highest score up top. And we want to grab the first 3. So what I always do too is, since like you seen we had a tie there, I usually just grab the first 10 just to see, kind of, and that things are working too. So we won't call this Grass Elite, we'll call it Fire Elite. And then just call that And also too, I encourage you guys to, definitely, which I should have done, fire, you want to find out, make sure you guys are, what type you're working with, and then if you're curious as well, what shape you're working with. And also too, actually, we'll first find that out. And like I showed you before, Fire Elite. So you got, you definitely got your info, you got your, this is a data frame object. We have 10 rows, 13 columns, so it's always going to be 13 columns. Unless you decide to drop them. And then fire. You got all your different info in here. Okay. So let's go ahead, for time's sake, let's go ahead and so the next one is water, so we will do the water next. And also too, I encourage you guys, if you're doing this on your own, then definitely don't do what I'm doing and just copy. Wait, okay, I didn't mean to put the 10 in there. I meant to. Okay, so also too, you put your 10 in there. Okay, so we see we got a 3 that are in the top, so just change it to 3. When I put the 10 there, that's just to see how many are tied and, if I need to make any sort of changes. So that should be different. That should be different. And then also too, if you hover over it and you see this little white line appear, it'll allow you to add some code or a text just to give you a cool description, or when you're posting your project on GitHub, you can formulate it to where you put a cool heading there, some visuals, some cool descriptions there to really make it like an actual project as opposed to just a bunch of code. So one thing I'm going to do before is I'm going to call her unique. Did I call it? What did I call it? Did I call it unique poke? Yes, I did. So water. Let's go ahead and execute this. All right, so here we got 770, 680, 670. Alrighty, so yeah, okay, so that's good then. That if we have like the first three and nobody ties, then we know that we don't need to drop any. So we just go ahead and change that to 3, and then just keep recopying the code. So yeah, like I said, don't like I'm just doing this just to save time, but I really recommend just typing the sign wrong. Okay. So we got water. So bug is next. Cool. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 different bug Pokemon. All right. So in this case, I actually looked at these before because, like I said, the project's on my GitHub already. I basically just kind of compared these top 4 to see who is more dominant, just comparing each of these values to each other. So I kind of just went through them to see, which one of these had the most, quote unquote wins compared to all of these, individual different features. So if you guys, like I said, if you guys are more of a Pokemon expert on the subject matter, you guys can definitely, divvy these out, or you can include all 4 of them and have a top 5 or instead, or whatever you guys want to do. Okay. So like I said, I did this earlier, and I concluded that I'm going to be including these 3. These 3 have the upper hand than this 4th one here, so it just so happened to work out. So I just need to put a 3 there. $600, awesome. Okay, and then unique poke. And it's cool because when you keep typing this, it's just, you don't have to keep scrolling back up and down. So normal. So the normal is going to be next. And actually, I probably don't even need the top 10. I mean, I just did top 10 just to be safe, but you could do top 7. I'm sure that'd be fine too. All right, so yep, we got these top 3 here, so we're all good there. And so you'll see that, like at the very end, notice I'm saving all these individual things into its own data frame, and then at the end I'm going to append them all together into one empty data frame. So I'm basically just going to be stacking them on top of each other. So yeah, now we got poison. 2, 3. Okay. It's always nice when it just happens to work out the way you want it to. So you got like the first 3 right there. And you don't have to compare the two, or compare any other ones. But as I was doing this before, I did have to drop some. So when we come across that, I'll show you guys what to do. So what do we got next? So normal, poison, electric. So yeah, 1, 2. Okay, so this is a good example of where we have a tie between several, and if I'm not mistaken, let me look at my notes really quick to see that this one is going to be an example where we have to drop some. Okay, so yes. So we have this first one, which obviously it's going to be in the top 3. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 that are all tied. So, like I said, you guys can judge them and compare them how you want to, because they all have the same total. But what I did was, like I said, I just went and I compared each of these individual numbers to so I would look at this first instance and I would see how many wins, or how many times this number would, be over this, with summed up with how this number compared with these, summed with how this number compared with these, summed with how this number compared with these, and so on. Okay, so just however you want to split them up, you can. So when I was doing this, I compared them, and I don't want to go through I already kind of told you how I went through them, but I don't actually want to go through the thinking process. But I wanted to just show you guys, just for the time's sake. So for this one, I am going to be dropping index 705 and 704. So that means 262 is going to be in the top 3, and then 157 is going to be in the top 3. So in order to, so let's go ahead and get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just go ahead and get the first 5. Electric Elite. And we're going to just call Electric Elite, because we'll just save it as the same variable. And then if you use the drop method, and then since we're dropping multiple columns, because that's all that means is drop is you're getting rid of a column, or you're getting rid of something, okay? So if you put the square brackets, you can put multiple columns in there, or multiple rows. I'm sorry, I mistake. So you can put multiple rows in there. So we are going to be getting rid of 705. So, and that 705 is referenced to this index. And then we're going to be also getting rid of 704. So I hope that wasn't too confusing. Okay, so now we got our top 3. And then let's go to type in our unique Pokemon variable. So we know what's next. Electric, and then we got the ground next. So ground elite. I'm going to be grabbing the ground column. So just a quick reminder, we're out of the Pokemon data frame that we made a copy of. We are locating the type 1 column that's equal to ground. So all the ground Pokemon that have a type 1 of ground. And then we're going to be sorting those values by the total. So we're sorting the values, and then we put the column name that we want to sort it by. So we're sorting it by total, and we want it to ascend, going from the biggest number to the smallest number. And then here we're just grabbing the first 10. Okay. Go ahead and make sure we got everything. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is another one. I just want to go to my notes just to make sure I'm not like, I keep reiterating, I just don't want to, have this be more time than it is, because sometimes I go off on tangents and whatnot. So, okay, so out of comparing these two, because you see we have this one with the 770, this one with the 670, and then these two have a 600, so one of these has to go. And then out of comparing these two, it was which one was it? So it was 708 that had the upper hand. So yeah, 708 had the upper hand here. So that benefits us, so we don't even need to drop anything. We just type in 3. Just hit Shift Enter. And then now we got the fairy Pokemon. So you see how this is pretty much just time consuming. I'm pretty much just copying, pasting all this. But you guys can at least see, you can get in the mindset of, you can get used to this project, okay? And get used to working with data frames. Okay, so that worked out too. So you see, none of these are matching. We have a clear top 3. It's always beneficial for us. But if not, then no worries, because then it just gives us a chance to learn. So we got fairy, now we got fighting. Okay, so here's another instance where we have two that are tied. So the one that we are going to end up dropping is Pokemon 336, Metacham, Mega Metacham. So when you compare these two, this one kind of had the upper hand. When you look at these 6 different categories, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, just making sure that there's 6 categories still. So yeah, out of these 6 categories, this one, me and Xiao has the upper hand. So let's go ahead and drop this 336 route. So we'll just save it as the same variable. So we'll call it Fighting Elite equals Fighting Elite that has dropped. Index or instance 336. Okay, cool. Awesome. So yeah, you see how I got rid of 336. So actually, now that I think about it, let's go up here so we get the first 4. And then Okay, so then I actually reran this. This is all up to date. This is kind of like after if I were to execute this and then I went back up and executed it. This is updated, if I'm not mistaken. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I just forget everything I just said. I don't know what I'm talking about. So now you have 336 here, which is tie with 681. So then you just go ahead and, like I said, you make a fighting elite variable and just drop the 336 column, or the 336 row. There you go. Now you got your top three. So what's the next one after fighting? Psychic. Ooh, psychic. Alright, so you got your 10 there, which I put from 10 in the head. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we have 5 here that are all, you know, at these bottom 3 are all tied. So we need to find who's going to be in that third spot. So after comparing these 3, I'm dropping rows 798 and 269. So 162 had the upper hand. So Mewtwo was the victor. So I don't know much about Pokemon, but I remember Mewtwo and I remember him being awesome. So let's go ahead and, just like we did with the other variables, just save it to the same one, which I realized I misspelled it. What a surprise. Okay, awesome. And we're just going to drop. So we are going to drop the 798 instance and the 269 instance. Oh, and then also I should have, okay, I guess type it here. So I just got an error saying name psychically is not defined. It was just a spelling mistake. Okay, cool. So we got our top 3 psychic Pokemon. Now let's just keep working down the line and get the rest of them, okay? So after Psychic, now we have the Rock Pokemon. Well, I'm just referencing my notes really quick just to make sure I'm not skipping over anything. Okay. So let's get the Rock Pokemon. Awesome. So now we have, okay, so this one got a little bit of a break. We got a clear top three here. So let's just change this to 3 and we'll move on to the next one. So the way you guys are really going to be able to retain this is, just a quick note is, just doing this every single day. You guys are going to be able, that's the way you learn things is through repetitive retention. So, and then you also have to, you can look it up, but you also have to find a stasis of focus time and diffuse time. So your focus time is something that's more, that's where you learn, that's where you're completely engaged in a certain activity and you're learning something. And then when you have your diffuse time, that's what allows you to be able to retain what you just learned. Okay, so if you were constantly in focus mode the entire time, you would get to the point where you're staring at tutorials or you're looking up something or reading a documentation and nothing's clicking on your head. So you guys have to at least try to find that stasis. So I try to do 3 to 5 hours of coding every single day. If you can't do that, obviously you can't do that, but if you try to at least start off, if you're at the very beginning stages of coding, at least 20 minutes a day. So if you're not used to that kind of learning. So let's go on to the next one. Alright, so we got our clear 3 there. So let's just change that to 3. Alright, so after ghost we have ice. Ice, ice baby. So we got the ice elite next. Let's call that 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's all we're focused on here. I'm not focusing on sorting these 3 and finding out who's the superior one out of these 3. I'm just focused on getting the top 3. So that's good enough for me. And then, as you guys are approaching this project and tweaking it and making your own to add to your GitHub, you guys can do whatever you want. Rank them like every single one, but that's what you guys want to do. Nice elite, and then just call our unique, because this way we just get used to not scrolling up all the time. So after ice, okay, sweet. So we're almost done. We only got 4 categories left. So we hear dragon. Name something you eat but doesn't eat you. Dragon. It's a Always Sunny reference. Okay, so here's another example where we have multiple instances that are the same, that are tied. So now that we have this issue, we're going to just compare them, and you guys, like I said, you guys compare them however you want to. So when I went through these, I ended up dropping, basically, okay, so there's multiple instances here that are tied. The ones that end up making it in the top 3 is obviously this first one up here, the Rayquaza Mega, Rayquaza, whatever that one is, and then 418 and then 409. So 418, yeah, some of these names I can't even. And then 409, My God, they're really testing. They're really trying to test my vocab skills here. So I don't, okay, so then these are the ones that I ended up choosing over the rest of them, okay? So, dragon, elite equals, get this pointer out of the way, dragon elite dot drop. And so we want to drop 420, and I'm referencing these index numbers here. 711, 712, and then 494. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's just get the first 7, since that's all we're really focused on is those first 7. And then we'll get rid of this. We'll get rid of those 4. So 7 minus 4 is 3. Cool. I don't know, I keep typing. Maybe I should have called it unique value, since that's what I keep typing. Okay, so we just got the dragon. Now we need to get the dark Pokemon. So the dark, the steel, and the flying Pokemon. After that, we'll just like I said, we'll stack all these individual data sets on top of each other and put them into one, and then we'll save it to a file, and you can send that file to anybody you want and put it on your GitHub and whatnot. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so here's another example where we got some ones that are similar to each other, and instead of going through these and comparing them again, I'm just going to tell you like who I chose. Hold on. I'm going through my notes really quick just to make sure. Okay, so here it is. So I ended up choosing indexes 248 and 696. So 1, 2, 3. So 248, 696. Okay, so that worked out too. So now I don't need to drop any columns, since this one had the short end of the stick right here. I could just grab these first 3. And I apologize too about me, I keep saying I'm referencing my notes, and it's just, so I don't, lose focus, but, this is a learning process for me as well, so, I know I need to kind of formulate my notes a little bit better. So, we're all learning every single day. Poison, okay, so now we got steel next. And you want to make sure you capitalize that, because otherwise it's not going to recognize it, because all these types are capitalized. Alright, so this one worked out. Got 1, 2, 3. So let's just change that to 3. And the last one is it? So, oh, it's already it's steel, so it's flying. Flying's the last one. Flying elite, so it looks like there is only 4 in that category anyway. So 1, 2, 3, so okay, so that worked out. Choo. Okay. So we are finally finished separating all these into their own data frames, all these different types, and we put the 3 most powerful Pokemon, at least by my definition, in their own data frames. And now we're just going to be concatenating all these data frames into one data frame, and then we'll save that data frame into a file that you can share with, anybody and prove that you did something. Okay, so we will just okay. So how we're going to do this is use a Pandas library called concat, which just is short for concatenation, which just means putting things together. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and save this under a variable called Ultimate Showdown. And then PD from, instead of pandas, we just write PD. Do a concat. And then since we're putting in a list of data frames, we will use the square brackets, okay? So right before, actually, let me, remember, if you hover over here and you see this white line, you can just hover over here, and I'm going to add a piece of code. I just want to see my unique columns again, just so I know what to reference them, because I called everything blank underscore elite. So grass elite, and then these are like what I'm typing in now are all the variable names that I typed in before. So like this is flying elite, so I'm going to type them in order from like what I see here, but when I get here I'll type in flying elite in here, which is reference to what I captured from before. Okay, so fire elite, water elite, bug elite, yeah, like while I'm typing this, I figured I would use the Pokemon data set. Just like I said before at the very beginning, I feel like it would be a good data set for people who aren't familiar with data science to get used to it. But also, since that Detective Pikachu movie came out, I haven't seen it yet, but I've been wanting to. So I figured it'd be a cool way to get people like oh hey, get all excited about Pokemon, and then maybe they come across this video and maybe they decide they want to learn some data science. And you obviously, this skill, like learning data frames, is something that you need to know for data science, machine learning, and deep learning. It all with all those skills, it all stems from knowledge of data. So that's something they kind of all have in common. So regardless of what of those fields you want to get into, you have to get very familiar with understanding and being able to manipulate data. Alrighty. Now if I typed in everything, this should work. Which, okay, I was kind of hoping for an error. so we can fix it together, but that's okay. So, you know, when I was doing this before and I made this project, I was calling things like this is grass elite, and then when I would get down to like the other like the bottom of this list, I would start calling things like elite ground, elite. Like I would forget what variable names I was doing it because I wasn't copying pasting them, but you know, I was retyping everything, so I was giving them different variable names and not realizing it. So. Okay, so now that we got our ultimate showdown, all these concatenated together, let's go ahead and look at our data set. Nice. That's what I'm talking about. So you see, we have three Pokemon from each of these different types. And you see that we have the top three from each one. So that's pretty cool. So that, yeah, we were just by calling pd.concat and we just put in a bunch of different these data frames, you're stacking them on top of each other essentially. So you got 3 ice, 3 dragon, 3 dark. So just to make sure that everything is correct, okay, so there's 18 columns. 18 columns and then 3 Pokemon per 18 columns. So we should have 54 rows. So let's go ahead and find our shape. And then actually what we'll do is, so we do have 54 rows and we have our 13 columns. And let's go ahead and just put in the type as well. Yep, so data frame object. Awesome. Cool. And then this just pandas mean that this data frame is you know, from the pandas library. Okay. Alrighty, so now that we have this, now I'm going to show you guys how to just save this into a file so you can save it for later and, you know, show anybody you want to, okay? Show people like, hey, I built this, or if you know some people who are very interested in Pokemon, you can show them this file or share this file with them, send it to them. Be like, hey, I have proof that, you know, these are the most powerful types of Pokemon, but also too, if you go to my GitHub and you look at this project, I formulated this this little project that we're doing, and I kind of put a little story scenario around it to make it more interesting, more fun. Like it's a fake scenario how I have it set up, and I didn't go over it in this video. I just didn't want to have it be a little distraction. I wanted you guys to just focus on what I'm doing here. But you know, definitely check out my GitHub project. Like I said, there's a story kind of wrapped around this this little simple project. So let's go ahead and save this to a our file or our drive. Okay. So these are our files from before. I do call ultimate. Showdown. So I'm actually going to show you guys how to save it to an Excel file and a CSV file. You know, you never know, there's some picky people out there. It's like, oh, I just want to rather just have an Excel file, and there's somebody who's like, oh, I'd rather just have a, you know, a text file or a CSV file. So I'll show you guys how to do that. Okay. So for this, let me just retype this again. You're going to call your ultimate showdown, which is this final data set output with all of the top 3 from each. And then you're going to call you're going to call, or not .pd, you're going to call .to Excel. And then you are going to put in the name that you want to call this file. So we are going to call this file well, you can call it whatever you want to, but I'm just gonna call it Pokemon Battle, I guess, or Pokemon. Call it Pokemon All Stars. XL. SX, that's the extension for Excel, and then you just do literally just do the exact same thing for your CSV file. It's just the syntax a little bit different. So instead of two Excel like you see up here, you're just going to do 2 CSV. Okay, and then you can call it the same thing and just put a different extension, or you can call it something different. So we'll call it something different. So we'll call it Pokemon Elite CSV. And then, okay, so I forgot to put up here, go ahead and you want to make your index false. That way it doesn't have all these extra indexes in here, okay? So, and then you just do the same thing for your CSV file. Index equals false. And then if you want to, since these CSV files get a little bit messy, go ahead and separate it. That's what this SCP stands for. Go ahead and separate it, and then within these quotes, it'll separate it by, you know, whatever you want. So if you just did this, it would separate it by space. If you did this, it would separate each individual input by a V. So I mean, you definitely don't want that. So just to give it some more room, go ahead and type in \T for your, and that's a tab character. So that means there'll be a tab between each of these individual fields. Okay, so it's not all cluttered. So go ahead and Shift Enter. Alrighty. So now what you need to do is you need to find these files and then just put them in your local drive. Okay. So go over here where it says Files, go under and then hit Refresh. Okay. So you see we have Pokemon All Stars. This is our Excel file. Then Pokemon Elite got our CSV file. So you just right click over it, hit Download. Okay, so that downloaded. Do the same thing with this. Okay. Just go to Show in Folder if you want to know where it's at. So it's in your downloads. And go to Open just to see it all there. So, and then there you go. That's that is your file. That is what, and then you can obviously send this to, you know, anybody you want to, and, you know, show them like, hey, I took this original data frame and I found some pretty cool stuff with it. You know, it's all about finding value. So I mean, this was a very simple project. So, you know, this isn't gonna, you know, change the entire world or anything like that, but definitely, I definitely get you guys more comfortable with pandas and Python, and, you know, being able to look at a data set and not just, like I said in the last video, not just look at the data set, but, you know, look past the data set and being able to find some insight on in the numbers and within the different data types. So this one, you can see this one's not as not neat. So I always like this. I always like the Excel files more. But so with that being said, that's pretty much all I wanted to show you guys. I wanted to give you guys an insight and be able to set you guys off and start a new project on your own. Even just taking this. So I challenge you guys to either like to take this product and take this project and do it with me and then augment it to tweak it or change it, or just like if you watch this video and you kind of code along with me, you can just, you know, kind of fork fork on a different path and just, you know, find a different problem that you want to solve with this. Okay, so with that being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of the day, and I hope you guys take care. Okay, goodbye.